All right, how's everybody doing? We're gonna do this a little bit differently today. So I'm a personal trainer by trade. This is how I feel comfortable. I think it's pretty genuine how we're gonna talk here. And what I'm gonna do today is I'm gonna talk to you about the diets that I've done and ones that my clients have tried and kind of some of the feedback that I've gotten from them. The very best of each diet and the very worst. You gotta understand, guys, there's not a perfect diet and there's not all trash. Some are pretty bad, but I'm gonna give you honest feedback today, not only from myself, but from my clients that I've had over 25 years. So we're talking about a lot of experience here, okay? So that's what we're gonna do today. Stay tuned. All right, the very first diet we're going to talk about, from the very best aspects of it to the worst parts of it, is CKD, Cyclical Ketogenic Dieting. If you didn't know what that is you're actually going to be in a ketogenic diet where you have 75% of your calories from fat, 20 to 25% from protein, and 0 to 5% of your total calories from carbohydrate. Alcohol would mix in there too, okay? But generally, if you're gonna do this diet, let's just exclude alcohol for now, which has 7 calories per gram, by the way. All right, so you're going to be eating 75% 75% fat, 20 to 25% protein, 0 to 5% carbohydrates, okay? Now, the pros about it. The number one pro they never talk about, or somebody doesn't experience, if they don't truly get into ketosis. So when you're dieting and doing the keto diet, maybe the first time that you do it, after about 2 weeks of eating that diet and you're not breaking it right, you're gonna start to get into ketosis pretty heavily and your appetite is just gonna crash, okay? Now, if you're trying to burn fat and lose weight, I can't express how important that is for you staying on your diet. It's that, and not only that, but keeping focus in whatever you're doing throughout the day, There's generally, for most people, you're not working out most of the day, okay? And I wouldn't recommend this diet for that anyway. We'll get into that. But you're able to keep your sanity because you're not hungry all the time. In fact, I would say it's so strong that it's better than any appetite suppressant I've ever done. And number two, all the other things you do usually to like fill up with fiber or protein and all this other stuff, you don't even have to worry about that. You're actually gonna have to remind yourself to eat. It's unbelievable, guys. I can't stress that enough. And for the clients that I've had that have done the same thing, they're like, dude, I am not hungry. I'm like, I know, it's crazy, okay? So that is number one, and on a rating out of 1 to 10 on the benefit of this portion and how strongly I feel about how big of a benefit that is, I would give that a 9 or a 10 out of 10. I mean, it's that powerful. The second benefit you're gonna get is you're gonna get autophagy, okay? So you're turning over cells, getting rid of the junk, and you're decreasing inflammation. I would put those in the same area, okay? So I would rate that about an 8 or 9 out of that in that regard, okay? It's not perfect, but it's pretty dang good. In fact, when I had Lyme disease and I was training for it and I was trying to lose body fat, because I tried to bulk up to make the next weight class, I actually use this, and a lot of the side effects that I was having from treating Lyme and all the bacteria that was dying and being killed from the antibiotics I had to take, it really, really helped control that. I can't express that enough. When I was like bulking, and I'm eating a lot of food, a lot of carbohydrates, this really just brought that straight down. It was unbelievable, and it really helped a lot. It really brought down the inflammation and really helped me actually recover from some of the pain and injuries that I had too. So I would say that's an 8 or 9 out of 10. Now, last but not, kind of least of the ones is the ease of measuring the amount of food, because you have such a high amount of your calories from fat, it's very calorically dense, fat is. So you're having 9 calories per gram versus protein and carbohydrates when you have 4 calories per gram. So it's pretty easy to measure out food, and especially when you're trying to be so strict, which is possibly a con here coming up, is you're really measuring out your food. And I would say that to do that on any diet if you're gonna have success, but the ease of measuring your food once you have it, because it's always so small, so it doesn't look so fluffy, you don't have this amount of fiber, stuff like that. You still want to have a little bit of stuff like spinach and stuff like in there, but it's pretty easy to measure your food. Okay, so I would get that as like kind of maybe lower down, maybe like a 5 or 6 out of 10. So, all right, what are the worst aspects of keto, especially cyclical ketogenic diet, but any keto diet? One that I experienced personally was it was really hard to fall asleep. Sometimes I have a really hard time staying asleep, but now I added that part on top of it. So it's just really hard to get that, to relax, that relaxation that you get from carbohydrates, especially have it later at night, helps you relax. You don't have that. Okay, you could do something where you did like what they call a temporary ketogenic diet, or a timed one where you're eating just a little bit of carbohydrates, but that's probably going to throw you out of ketosis all the time if you're doing that every evening. So I wouldn't really recommend that, okay? But it is something to be careful of, guys. You don't want to mess up your sleep. That would be very bad, and it was very, very hard. Even though I had success with it, that is something you want to monitor and know that could be kind of the worst part of ketogenic diet. At least it was for me, okay? Let me see. Another one, limited training volume. You'll hear this a lot, and people are right. You go, if you're doing a ketogenic diet, okay, you have less carbohydrate for that high intensity exercise that you might do. You don't have your glycogen store, especially the farther you get into ketosis, the later on you have from your carb up, because you are still carbing up at least probably once every 2 to 3 weeks during this, okay? But when you're getting closer to the end of that, your training volume, you're not gonna be able to do a lot. This is not something you would do a sport like wrestling or even bodybuilding, where you're gonna do a lot of volume of still high intensity, but lower high intensity. It's not talking like powerlifting or something that where you're doing like 5 to down to 1 reps, right? Okay, or on less sets, okay? Anytime you have a lot of volume, this is gonna be a hard diet to be on, okay? Just keep that in mind, no matter how much you carb up. Potentially, you could have a little bit drop in total and free testosterone too. Something you want to keep up. That's still kind of up in the air on there. So that's probably like a 5 or 6, just something to be keep aware of when you do a ketogenic diet. And then lastly, I would say you have to be very strict on your macros. This isn't something you can play around with. People are like, oh, you just eat protein. No way. I go, you're going to be tired and you're not going to have that appetite suppressing part that you get when you're truly in ketosis, because you have this thing called gluconeogenesis. It just means that you're breaking down protein and it's going through the Krebs cycle, just like your carbohydrates. So you're never going to be in that part where you're in ketosis, where you're burning your fat as a primary source all the time. Okay, and that's really going to suppress your appetite. Now you can tell by how much I really believe and know about the appetite suppressant. It's just incredible, and I've heard that from other clients that actually hit ketosis too. So anyway, that's kind of the best and the worst of ketosis, okay? We're gonna get into some other ones, okay? But that's it for keto. So here we go. Let's go break it down, just summarize this really quick again. Pros, the best part of keto: appetite suppression, autophagy and reduced inflammation, and ease of measuring your food, okay? What are the worst parts or the potential cons of keto? You could have poor sleep, you have limited training volume, you could have potentially low testosterone, and you're always gonna have very strict macros. If you're doing that, you gotta eat 75% fat, no more than 25% protein, and you gotta keep your carbs down very, very, very minimal, definitely less than 5%. So, hope that helps. That's the keto portion of this, and we're gonna move to the next diet. Hopefully you found this video useful and you gained some insight that you may not have known. If you're looking for more information about diets and how to apply them correctly, check out other videos I've released and see which ones may suit your needs the best. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.